Who was the chair of that committee that looked into the Benghazi attacks. Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hillary Clinton on the trail, when she's asked about Benghazi, when she's confronted with any questions about Benghazi, says this.
After more than 2 years and $7 million spent by the Benghazi committee out of taxpayer funds, it had to today reported it had found nothing.
Well, she's just demonstrably wrong. The previous committees were wrong about who rescued us. The previous committees never bothered to look at why not a single wheel was turning towards our folks in Benghazi during the pendency of the attack. The ARB didn't look at the Department of Defense. So the notion that the ARB somehow unlocked all the mysteries of Benghazi is just
review board.
Yes, sir. Which she picked the members of. So I get that that's their talking point. I would have rather gone first than sixth in terms of investigating it, but it is without contradiction that our committee learned new information that the family members are grateful for. Now, I get that it doesn't fit her political narrative, but there's no question that there was new information learned, including Chris Stevens' emails and, oh, by the way, hers too.
So for the people at home who say, okay, the investigation happens, maybe there are new nuggets, but what is the end result here? What happens at the end?
People don't like it when folks aren't held accountable. And folks in my line of work need to do a better job of saying what our limits are when it comes to accountability. I can't put anybody in jail, Brett, for anything. That was my old job. I can shine the hot white light of scrutiny and let you make up your mind on whether or not you think this person warrants a promotion or whether this person ought to be running the State Department. That's all we can do. None of the other committees looked at Benghazi from pillar to post. We did. And you can they can minimize the new facts that we found. I think the reality that not a single asset was ever headed towards our folks in Benghazi is a really big deal for the world's most powerful military. That was new. The fact that Gaddafi loyalists rescued us and not the Libyans that were supposed to rescue us, that's a really big deal. I also think the heroism and the ingenuity of the folks in Tripoli contrasted, Brett, remember this Civets, this 7:30 p.m. White House meeting. Nobody knew about that until we investigated Benghazi. So when I hear folks talking about changing uniform in and out and whether or not we're going to hurt the Libyans' feelings, all of that came from our investigation. Folks who are looking for a smoking gun, it's not a gun case. It's a fire case. So you're not going to find a smoking gun.
You mentioned Hillary Clinton and Libya. She was asked in the Commander-in-Chief Forum this past week about Libya, and here's what she said.
I put together a coalition that included NATO, included the Arab League, and we were able to save lives. We did not lose a single American in that action.
Boy, that'd be news to Ty Wood's widow, whom I talked to just yesterday. It'd be news to Ty Wood's mom, who I stay in contact with, and his father. It'd be news to Chris Stevens' family that no Americans lost their lives. 4 Americans lost their lives. And if it hadn't been for the valor and the heroism of folks in Tripoli, more Americans would have lost their lives. And if it hadn't been for Gaddafi loyalists, the guy that she takes credit for toppling, coming and rescuing our folks from the annex, it would have been a slaughter. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about when she says no Americans lost their lives. She is welcome to take credit for the intervention if she wants to. But with that comes the responsibility of what happened afterward. And Libya is an unmitigated disaster. So she owns that. If she owns the success, she owns the disaster.
The email issue came from your investigation.
Yes.
Now the FBI and their decision. Jim Comey, the FBI director, is defending the decision not to move forward with prosecution. You've talked about what's in those notes and what's not, and the lack of curiosity about intent. Now we know that 2 BlackBerries were destroyed, 11 others missing, couldn't find the laptop, and there are real questions. Your thoughts on where this goes?
Well, Brett, it's really hard to prove intent. In this particular statute, you don't have to. You have to prove gross negligence, but of course, you know, Director Comey said he read into that an intent element. Okay, that's fine. Never do defendants say, on this date, I'm going to commit this offense. Just want to warn everybody. Just so you know, I intend to do this. That never happens. You have to prove intent by circumstantial evidence. So how do you do it? Consciousness of guilt. How do you prove consciousness of guilt? Destruction of evidence. The fact that you concealed it for however many years. All of these emails were concealed from the public record for however many years. And then when we asked for them back, she had her lawyers, not government lawyers. Not government, her lawyers went through and decided what you can see and what you cannot see. And even then, they missed about 15,000. And at the end of all of that, they decided to apply a product called Bleach Bit, not the delete button, but a hammer and bleach bit to what they claim are yoga emails. It doesn't pass the laugh test.
But are you accusing the FBI of conspiracy, of collusion with the administration, of not doing their job?
I'm a big fan of the FBI. I'm probably biased towards the FBI, quite frankly, based on my previous job. Fidelity, bravery, and integrity. Those three words do not schedule the release of documents on the Friday before a holiday. Fidelity, bravery, and integrity doesn't have a press conference the day after July 4th. Fidelity, bravery, and integrity releases all of the documents, not just her 302, but all of the witness documents, and let all of us, including you, judge the thoroughness of their investigation. I like the FBI. I'm disappointed that the FBI, in my judgment, looked at this case through a political prism. I believe if it were Hillary Jones, the analysis would have been different. And my great fear in life, what happens in a presidential election, we can survive bad presidents, we can survive good presidents. What we can't survive is this notion that there's a two-track justice system based on what your last name is. That we cannot survive. And I'm afraid they applied a different standard because of who she was.
Congressman Gowdy, as always, thank you.
Yes, sir.